All right, we're going to talk about the DNA structure. So this is just all the parts of DNA. So DNA normally looks like this, and it's a twisted ladder, or the technical term is a double helix. All right, the helix is like a twisted staircase, so it's twisting all the way down, and then it has two rungs, 1, 2, which makes it a double helix. These parts right here, the blue parts, are called the backbone, or the sugar phosphate backbone. So that's right here. All right, so that blue part right here is one of those, and it's on either side. So this is the sugar, this is the phosphate. All right, I'm just going to go into that a little bit more in depth in a little bit. And then these colored items in the middle are bases. All right, this one is a C, and this one is a G. G's and C's pair together, cars in the garage. This one is an A. This one is a T. A's and T's pair together. Apple trees. All right, and we'll come back and talk about those bases in a second. So let me show you just another representation of the DNA. So we have our sugar, that's called deoxyribose. That's where the D in DNA comes from. We have a phosphate, kind of like I always call it the satellite dish. And we have a base, which is like I call it the garage. And it's called a nitrogenous base. All right, and this whole thing is called a nucleotide. And what we're going to do, this is called the monomer of DNA. And a bunch of these monomers are put together to form what eventually becomes DNA. So we have another phosphate, another sugar, and another base. And they will connect together. And now I've just made a almost completed DNA. I have one side, so this is just one side of the strand. And here's that backbone with the bases in the middle. So bases always connect to each other, so I got to add another base over here. But I need to add the whole nucleotide because the bases don't exist on their own. DNA is just made up of a whole bunch of nucleotides put together. Now, the sugars, so these are all sugars, the sugars are upside down in this case, so therefore the satellite dish has now been turned on its end, the phosphate, and it's down here. And again, they're connected. Everything is connected. All right, so this is the other backbone. So there's two backbones. Now, going down the middle, we have the bases. We have the two bases. We have A's and T's pairing together, and we have C's and G's pairing together. The A's and T's then connect, and they form two hydrogen bonds. So the hydrogen bonds are 2, and the C's and G's pair together, and they have 3. So T for 2, and then these guys have 3. And that's basically the DNA structure, and we'll just repeat on and on and on. The key thing here is the order of the bases determine our genes. So we're mainly going to be focusing on just the bases once we get past this basic DNA structure. Order of bases determine genes. All right, so let me go back to that picture because we got just a couple more things to talk about with the base. So the bases are classified into 2 areas. There are purines and pyrimidines. Adenine is a purine, and guanine is a purine, and they have 2 rings. The pyrimidines only have 1. And I remember that they are pyrimidines because cytosine C, thymine T have Ys, and so does pyrimidine. The purines do not have Ys, adenine and guanine. So the reason why this somewhat matters is if you look over here, 2 rings plus 1 ring, 2 rings plus 1 ring, that keeps this structure, this distance here between the 2 rungs, even though it doesn't look that way because it's twisted, is always the same because of the number of rings that are going across. So that's why purines can only bind to purines, right? Purines and pyridines can only bind. And now A's and T's can only bind because it has these 2 hydrogen bonds. That's what these guys are here. And that's just the way the atoms line up. And the C and G have 3 hydrogen bonds there. And that's because of the way the atoms match up. Eventually we'll get to this in a later unit, but I'm not worried about that right now. That is the structure of DNA that you should be able to recognize. You should be able to recognize this picture, and you should be able to recognize the stuff in this picture.